Hey guys, thank you so much for jumping onto the podcast here. I'm with one of my clients, Diane. She's done amazing with her running accomplishments. We're going to be discussing a little bit of information of the areas that she was able to solve with her strength and nutrition to get her the correct performance and hit PB times and start to master her strength and nutrition, which was specific to her and her running journey that she wanted to go down within this year that she wanted to hit off so many accomplishments. So I'm really excited to introduce Diane to the podcast. How you doing, Diane? You okay?
Hi, I'm great, thanks, Dan.
Brill, excellent. So just a quick one on this, Diane. Just give me a bit of an intro on yourself, and just let everybody know a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm 59. I'll be 60 in September, and I've decided to have, excuse the language, a fuck it year. I look after other people. I've been doing that for 33 years, so I've decided this is my year. I want to do things for me, to get out of my comfort zone, to push the boundaries, and to prove that age is just a number, not a limit on what you can achieve.
Yeah, amazing. And yeah, I know obviously when you signed up to the program as well, this was, really important priority for you as well to tick off so many accomplishments and focus on yourself, which I think is really important to do that because I think that reflects on everybody else around you anyway. If you're hitting amazing running times and your nutrition's better and your strength training is in a better place, naturally that does actually reflect on everybody else around you as well.
My God, it has given me so much more energy getting into the gym, doing the strength training. And it's true, the more exercise you do, the more energy you get. You think that's counterintuitive, but it's not. I feel
Yeah.
full of life, full of energy. I feel so much stronger, empowered, and it's been great. And the correct nutrition has made a phenomenal difference to my running. My recovery times are so much quicker. When I did the 20-mile Grizzly in March, I knocked an hour off my time from 2020. I was being paced by a couple of guys from the running club, which really helped. But the whole time, I just felt fine. I knew I could keep going because I'd fueled properly going into the run. And I finished it in 4 hours, 15 minutes. And that's 20 miles, a mixed terrain event with 3,300 feet of elevation. And when I finished, I felt like I could have kept going. It was so good to
Yeah.
finish and actually feel strong.
Yeah, great. And I think it just reflects on your mindset as well. Like I speak to this a lot with with yourself as well on monthly meetings when we chat over a call, and even in check-ins, the energy is there, like the confidence is there. You're feeling great, and I feel sometimes as well with a lot of people is they don't necessarily want to prioritize themselves too much because they've got other priorities in their life. They've got family and where commitments is like I can't focus on myself because it's other people like
Yeah.
kids or they've
Yeah.
got like
I mean,
work or it's like it is, isn't it? It sounds really weird, but it's like people feel like they can't prioritize their goal
yeah.
because they don't like feel as if like it's something which they need to prioritize through other people, but in
I must
reality,
admit, I
yeah.
didn't used to feel like I deserved to prioritize myself. But as I say, I've spent 33 years looking after other people. I still have my dad. I still go and see him several times a week. He's not well, he's got dementia. But if you feel good in yourself, you have more to give to the rest of the family. It just makes a difference to your life, really.
Of course. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I think, I go through, tough periods, stressful periods and stuff. And,
Hmm. Hmm.
for me to focus on good nutrition and just getting out and getting exercising and prioritizing a goal, it just puts me in a better mindset that I'm achieving things. And then naturally I feel better for it. And naturally
Hmm.
that's going to reflect on my day and it's going to reflect on other people. If I'm more positive and have a
Yeah.
better positive on outlook on life and I'm feeling more confident in how I look and feel,
Hmm.
or I'm
Hmm.
like progressing in runs or my strength training's improving, naturally, it just reflects on my mindset and then my mindset's improved. And then naturally it's going to reflect on everybody else. So I do think there's a really important message to bring out to people here as well as like to try and prioritize these things because it can reflect on your whole family and your
All
close
areas
circle
of
of
your life.
friends. Yeah,
Yeah, it does. It
definitely.
just affects your whole life, really. I mean, I
Yeah.
hadn't been in a very good place for 18 months. And then mid-September last year, I started to go to the gym again, started to run regularly. And after 6 weeks at the gym, I thought, yeah, I actually quite like strength training. It reminded me that it made me feel good. And then when I signed up with you in February and started to do the more runner specific stuff, that's made
Mm,
a huge difference. It's reminded me that my balance is very bad because all of the single
mm,
leg stuff is really challenging. But I
yeah.
know that that makes a difference to my running.
Yeah.
And sort of with doing all of that and the correct nutrition, which has made me feel better, my positive mental attitude when I'm actually racing, when I was doing
Mm,
the Grizzly, I was picturing myself crossing that finishing line with a four in front of the clock. And the whole way round when I was struggling, because yeah, I mean, there were some steep ups and some steep downs, and I did struggle at times for a short while, but I kept that positive mental picture in my mind, and that really helps.
yeah, 100%. And I feel like it is, really like helpful to have that like sense of accomplishment as well. And the fact that you've,
Mhm.
you enjoyed the run, you enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like, yeah, it's great to have like, amazing times, but if you
Mhm.
actually enjoy the experience of that race, it
To
just helps
me,
so
that's
much
what it's
more.
all about. You have to enjoy it, otherwise, you're enduring it, and then why
Of
bother?
course,
I mean,
that's
yes,
it.
I have since 2 weeks after I signed with you and switched up my nutrition, I
Yeah.
got a 5K and a 10K PB at the London Winter Run. That was road racing.
Mm,
And so, even in 2 weeks, eating, fueling correctly made such a difference.
of
And
course.
I eat a lot. I'm not big, but I do have a big appetite. And I was amazed to learn that I was under fueling.
Mm,
It really, really surprised me. But sort of
yeah.
upping the calories, following your guidance, and especially getting enough protein has just made a huge difference. It means
Mm,
that I'm not constantly hungry. So therefore, I'm not sort of snacking on the wrong things. And yeah, it's because occasionally I would wake up in the night because I'd be hungry, where it clearly wasn't fueling properly. But having got the macros right with the protein, yeah, it's made a huge difference.
yeah, I understand that. And I think obviously as well, what I want to ask you on this is like, what was your nutrition like before you started working with me? What changes do you feel that you've made to progress on the running
Mhm.
side, which you feel it's helped you reach these milestones and targets that you've hit?
Mainly, it's eating more calories and eating enough protein. I mean, I had a healthy diet. I've always eaten a healthy diet. I love salads and things like that. But I just realized now, having spoken to you and got the plan, I wasn't getting enough protein in. I do eat a fair few vegetarian meals. And that makes it a lot more difficult to get enough protein if you're eating sort of beans and lentils and stuff. So adding a bit more protein powder in, or even if towards the end of the day, I'm looking like I'm not quite getting there on the protein front, I'll have a protein yogurt, might put a bit of protein powder in, but I'll have it with chia seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, nuts, fruit. And that just brings the levels up and means that I'm meeting my daily requirements.
Yeah.
And also things like having eggs for breakfast. Before I would just have toast for or one slice of toast and a bit of cereal for breakfast. But having eggs 5 days a week, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I think and what you've mentioned there is which we'll explain to everyone who's listening in here is the switch over, which you've just explained really well. It's like the switch over of like having, health conscious foods throughout the week,
Hmm.
which are
Hmm.
quite high in protein. You've got lots of veggies, and to having that switch over where you take that away, like the veggies, the protein, and we prioritize then a little bit more with regards to the fueling sides because. Like, if you're in a position where you're trying to fuel yourself for a run, like a long run, and I say that the mileages that you are hitting, it's like it is virtually impossible to consume a considerable amount of calories if you're going to consume protein and vegetables, because in reality, like it's going to stop you from getting enough in because
You
protein.
literally just can't eat that
You
much.
can't, yeah, and it's really difficult. In reality, protein's very satiating. It's going to keep you fuller for longer. It
Mm.
stops you from consuming enough carbohydrates, and then if you consuming lots of vegetables, naturally that's going to stop you from getting enough in because they're very calorie dense and they contain
Yeah.
fiber, so it keeps you fuller for
Mm.
longer as well. If you take them away, naturally, like actually, I feel hungry. I could eat something else,
Yeah.
which is great, and I think as well it builds people's relationship with food because they're able to still have that little bit of processed food that they may crave, but it's just
Hmm.
at the right time. And it
Mm.
helps them with ramping the calories up, the carbohydrates. It's stuff that they enjoy having. They fuel themselves for the performance. So naturally,
Yeah.
they're going out and having a great run and they're not feeling like tired and fatigued afterwards. It's
No.
timed really well. And you having that switch over is makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and even though I'm on holiday, I've brought a malt loaf with me, so that going home on the Friday and then getting home Friday night, I'll have a pizza before I go to bed. Saturday from 12 o'clock through the night till 12 o'clock Sunday, I have the 24-hour race. So carb loading has begun today, which is Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure I've got enough stuff on the way home to eat enough on that Friday night going into the Saturday morning.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It's like, we've been working on practicing the foods that you're eating because in
Hmm.
reality, what we need to do is if you're going into a taper, this is where people generally tend to get lost. They're like, oh, like what shall I do? Like I'm just gonna, eat lots of rice and try to make sure I can consume lots of pasta or whatever else. And it's like you're probably trying things that you're not really used to doing and you're not testing. So the foods that you're having right now, you've probably been testing that now. Well, I know you have because obviously I'm
Oh,
with
definitely.
like you're testing them things out regularly on your long runs. So when you get to the taper week, it's like, right, okay, well, usually I only have 24 hours before I do that long run where I'll consume the highly calorific carbohydrate foods. Naturally, all I'm going to do now is extend it for longer. Depending on the mileages of what you're doing, it depends on how far you do extend it, but you're just extending that time period, aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm aiming to do in excess of 30 miles. I'm hoping to hit 50 in the 24 hours.
Yeah,
Obviously, it just depends on the day, how it all goes.
yeah,
The weather forecast isn't looking great. It's looking like it's going to be 29 degrees, which is a bit hot for me, although having been here in Greece, I have been practicing in hot weather. But if it is really hot, then I shall just adjust my plan and do more laps at night, 5 mile laps. So I'll do more laps at night when it's cooler and less in the heat of the day.
yeah, yeah. I think that's it, isn't it? And it's if you've been running whilst you're away on holiday, that'll definitely make a big difference. I think hydration is important as well, which will definitely support you on the day. And I think that's sometimes really difficult for a lot of runners. Is like you could like be running in cold weather as you're building up
Mhm.
mileages, and then all of a sudden, then it's like it's race day, and all of a sudden the sun comes out, and it's like roasting. It's like the weather's really hot, and it's like, wow, I'm not used to this, but this is like it's really difficult. So managing that with trying your best to fuel yourself and drop the intensity of your strength training and keep on top of hydration, like
Mhm.
it's not going to set you up to a position where you're crashing and hitting that wall as much as well, really. So
No, I mean, I must admit, I do have an athlete's mindset. I brought my nutrition away with me. I brought my creatine, my omega-3s, my collagen powder, and my hydration tablets. So I brought all of that with me. And I've needed it because even running at 7:30 in the morning, and I've not done more than 5K,
yeah,
it is hot. And
right.
also, I've done a high rocks class in the afternoon. I drank a litre and a half of water while I was doing that. So, making sure that I had my salts here ready to properly rehydrate is helping. And then I've got a couple of sachets that I will have on the Friday going home to make sure that going into the race, I am fully hydrated and all my electrolyte levels are where they should be.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really helpful that you're focusing on that because I think that'll make a big difference. I mean, the high rocks classes are great, aren't they? And I said we don't want to be doing them now in this week because that's the thing with the taper week. We want to reduce that
Yeah.
down. So we'll explain a little bit more about strength training because we discussed a lot about the nutrition side. So
Mhm.
Just explain to me around your experience with strength training before you started working with me, and the changes that you feel that you've made, which has supported you on your road to to hit
Sure.
all these PBs as well.
Well, I used to do runners specific strength training with my sports injury therapist. There was a group of us from the running club that did it. But
Mm.
unfortunately, Kieran moved his business, which meant that our 7 till 8 a.m. class, people couldn't get back to start work in time. So that fell apart. That timed in with me not feeling great in myself. And so for 18 months, I didn't do any strength training. Then I just joined a local gym, which was great. Group strength training classes. I really love it because I'm a people person. I like working out with others. And to be fair, they know I'm a runner and they have thrown some runner specific stuff in, but really, this is a class for the general public. So, although there are a lot of moves that I would do with you anyway, I don't get the runner specific ones, such as the single leg work, which is where your program comes in. It's making sure that I'm doing those sort of things that are going to support my running, and strengthen up, because obviously running is a single leg activity. You're on one leg at a time, so you need to make sure that your legs are strong. And doing your following your program has really helped to um, help me to keep injury free, which is the main reason I started strength training in the first place. But now I realize how much I love it. I love feeling strong. It makes me feel empowered. And yeah, I can't wait to go to the gym every day. I'd be in there every day if I could, but because I'm 59, I run 3 times a week. I do strength training 3 times a week. I double up on a Tuesday and I have 2 full rest days, because I'm also very aware that that is when the repair happens and my body needs those 2 days a week to recover.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what you've just explained there is some of the changes that you've made from going from like a group exercise class, which is
Mm,
just around general fitness, which is great. It's
yeah.
like, there's a lot of people out there who will potentially go to a group exercise class to give them some form of motivation and push
Yeah.
and have the, baby, have the community there as well. The social side of it is great. I understand that. But as I say, with a lot of runners, it's like, okay, they may progress with that, but then is it really helping them with, certain weak areas like, stability around your knees, your ankles, glute activation, because runners are
Yeah.
very quad dominant, and also the recovery process. You going into runs, the last thing you want is, legs which are feeling quite
Right.
heavy. You're feeling a little bit broken. You're not recovered, and then you're going into that run not performing well because you're still recovering from that strength training. So it's about making sure that we can periodize it where you're actually in a position where you still get the strength training sessions in, but you've got that recovery time
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, I think it's about building the intensity up and bringing it
Mhm.
down. If your mileage is low, then like drop increase the intensity of your strength training, make it more challenging, make it more demanding. But then if your run is mileage is going up high, then we should be then obviously focusing on dropping it down because you know that your running's more of a priority, and it's just trying to build that in with phases to go,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm going to change this round because
Mhm.
next month I've got an ultra and my mileage is crazy high, and then I'm also going to need a taper as well to recover so I can perform at my very best. And naturally, if my really intense workouts are in there, then it's not going to save me.
It's a bit like a seesaw. So on one side you've got your strength training, and on the other side you've got your running. So as you say, when once your mileage comes down, then you can ramp up the strength. But if you're increasing your mileage, you reduce the strength training, reduce the intensity, concentrate on the running. It's just getting that balance right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as you say, making sure that during the taper time, you're building up your reserves ready for the run. And then after the run, I'll run Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm going to have a good 3 days off at least, see how I feel. If I feel okay, I'll strength train Thursday. If not, I may even take the week off. It depends how much mileage I get in and how my body feels afterwards. It's all about listening to your body. No, as runners, we tend to know our body and we know what we can and can't do. And I will also go for a recovery sports massage on probably the Tuesday. I'll go and see my regular sports injury therapist and just get him to see how everything feels.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's right. And I think the seesaw analogy is a really good one for explaining to people on the podcast here is like, it's about making sure that we can have that in place where, you are in a position where you are varying it around depending on if you're
Mhm.
running is high or it's low and its mileage is low and the intensity is low. You're in an in season, as I would usually call it, or you're in an
Yeah.
off season as well. And one question I actually want to bring up with yourself as well is I know that obviously there's been some amazing accomplishments here. However, I know from each and every client out there that there's always tough, stressful periods where, life throws you a bit of a curveball and, we're in a position then where it's like, how do we manage this as well? So what I just want you to explain to me on this, Diane, is let me know like a little bit more information and when there's been maybe like a tough, stressful period for you within your life and how you've managed that situation in the best possible way.
Well, my dad had a fall, and I was having to spend a lot of time with him every day, and that was a really stressful time. Um, but for me, the exercise is also my stress relief. So a couple of sessions did have to go out the window that week. You just have to cut yourself some slack and think, I cannot do everything. What's the most important thing? Looking after my dad was the most important thing. But then being able to get in the gym and exercise and just switch off and just do something, or getting out on the trails for a run with my friends, being able to just chat everything through and get it off my chest, even, just a couple of times in the week, that was really helpful. But as I say, you can't do everything. If you're in that sort of situation, something has to give. And for me, it had to be the fact that I was only going to manage, say, one or two exercise sessions a week in the gym and one or two runs. So it's just a question of getting that balance in there.
Yeah, I think this is a really important one for people to listen into here is the fact that when you go through a stressful period, I think sometimes it's just trying to do your best in the circumstances that you're in and
Hmm.
thinking of averages over time. And I
Yeah.
talk about like the, perfectionist mindset of like, let's complete everything. And then like when life throws you a curveball, everything just goes to one side. I'm literally like, I can't do anything in reality, let's say for instance, you're doing like 3 sessions per week, but you still get the
Hmm.
one session in, you're still moving forwards. If you
Yeah.
still focus on all of them things, that's going to move you in the right direction. Your diet's like we don't need to have all of the protein servings in throughout the week. If you have, like, let's say for instance, you have high protein breakfast, lunch, and evening meal, but then you don't have your protein snacks and you have some processed snacks, which wasn't
Hmm.
plan because you're really busy and you're a bit stressed out and you wanted to consume something to make you feel better. You're
Yeah. When I was at dad's, I couldn't get home to eat, so I just had a look, see what was in his fridge, and had whatever
yeah.
would, sort of fit in or whatever I could get, to be honest, as long as I was eating.
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's like, and the time period that you're in, it's only usually short. And we know that,
Mm.
I just need to get through this.
Yeah.
And I've made some amazing progress. Like yourself, look like you've made some amazing progress, accomplishments with your running, your
Hmm.
strength training's improving, you're avoiding injury. You're in a great mindset, but then something happens. It's like, I'm just going to try my best in the circumstances that are in, even if I don't progress as much as what I would like to do,
Yeah.
still moving forwards. I'm just not letting everything, you know,
It's trying not to let it all get on top of you and then letting all your training go to one side, even if you can just keep it ticking over. And as I said, for me, that is a release from the stress of worrying about my dad to be able to get out for a run. I just find, or get into the gym, I just find that helps. So just keeping it ticking over until life gets back on more of an even keel, and then you can build it up again.
yeah,
That way, you're not losing everything.
yeah.
As you say, you're still going in the right direction. You may not be going at quite the same pace as you'd like, but you're still going the right way.
I honestly find the most the biggest, and this is so important for everyone listening to this, like people don't uh, focus their attention on the accomplishments that they've been able to achieve to a small amount through
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
really stressful time period. They focus all their attention on the massive wins, the PBs, and the accomplishments of when everything was flowing well.
Yeah.
They focus their attention on that. In reality, the biggest wins that you could potentially get on your life-changing goal, because as I say, I only want to work with people who want to change their lives and have a permanent
Hmm.
fix, is getting through a stressful period and managing it and still doing something
Yeah.
and taking that off.
Life is always going to throw you curveballs at some point. You never know where they're coming. You never know what it's going to be. And it's about being able to get through those difficult times the best way you can, but still doing something.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that's probably one of the biggest accomplishments that you could achieve. It doesn't seem like it, but the PBs,
They're
running
great.
accomplishments, it's like, but it's the things like the PBs, the running accomplishments, any accomplishment that you want.
Hmm.
The way you've probably got that win is because you've managed the tough, stressful period that you went through and you didn't give
Yeah.
up and you tick something off. Because
Hmm.
if you did that, that made a massive difference. You didn't fall off the wagon, you didn't move it to one side. And then when you got to a position where you were in a better place,
Yeah.
then we were able to push forwards and progress. And that's what got you the PB because you stayed consistent over time because it's consistency over months and even
Yeah.
years really to get the life
Yeah.
goal that you want.
And one thing that I haven't mentioned that I do find difficult in the stressful times is sleep. Sleep is so important, making sure I get enough sleep. Um, it just helps with everything. But obviously in the difficult times, that is when I'm worried about my dad, I find sleep a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I take magnesium supplements. That does help. But yeah, sleep is so important in the whole picture of, the exercise, the nutrition, the strength training, the running. Sleep all comes into the picture.
Yeah, 100%. And sleep is a massive factor because if you're quite tired, your energy levels are low,
Mm.
naturally you're going to want to reach for the processed food. Naturally, you're not going to be able to perform better. Naturally, you're not going to be able to recover as quickly as well. So, and I think sometimes as well, yes, we can improve sleep, but it's never always going to be absolutely spot on all the time. There's always going to be stressful situations,
Hmm.
circumstances which
Hmm.
impact your sleep, which you probably haven't got as much control over. You can only control it to a certain point. There's things
Exactly.
like, trying your best to switch off in the evening, and
Yeah.
really focus.
No phones,
Yeah,
have a read of a book, go to bed early, try and
yeah,
get into a good sleep hygiene, as they say.
of course, definitely, 100%. And another question I want to actually bring up to you now, Diane, is like, what's been the biggest mindset shift for you throughout this whole process, which has helped you move forwards?
I think, as I said, I now think like an athlete because I had this year where I've got so much going on, so many goals I want to hit. I don't eat, I fuel my body. I fuel my body like an athlete to meet my goals. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy my food. I love eating, but I think of it, I think it's having an athlete's mindset. Um, I know what I want to achieve and I know how I need to go about achieving it. And that's making sure I eat right, making sure I get enough rest, enough hydration, the right food, and following the plan.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I appreciate you bringing that information up on that there as well. You see, we'll obviously make sure that we can try to make sure that we can carry on implementing these things and going through the phases on the program. And guys, I just like to say thank you so much for jumping on this podcast today. And as I say, if anyone wants to head over to my page, you can find my page on dan.freshlifestylefitness. I can give you plenty of information regards to strength and nutrition to support you. There's also as well some free resources that I could potentially offer out to you to help yourself move forward. But Diane, as well, you can always introduce yourself onto Instagram as well if anyone wants to follow you and your running accomplishments and everything else on that.
Yep, Hockley Trail Runner on HRT because I'm a woman of a certain age. And if
That's
I
it.
can do it, if I can do it, anybody can. You just need to have the right tools for the job. And by signing up with you, you've given me the right tools to be able to go forward with my running journey.
Yeah,
Thanks for that,
brilliant.
Dan.
Not a problem at all. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that, and I will speak to you all soon.